Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. This time we're going deep dive into Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
It's classic.
It is a classic, and I'm really excited about this one. Not your typical, stock picking guide. It's not like, hey, buy this, buy that. It's really about the mental game.
Yeah.
Like, how do we as traders get out of our own way?
Yeah, I think it's one of those books that you kind of almost wish you read, like right when you started trading.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it really does. It sets the foundation for kind of understanding the right way to approach the markets.
Yeah, and I feel like even if you've been trading for a while, it's good to go back and revisit these ideas. Because sometimes, you fall back into bad habits or...
Absolutely.
You get emotional. And
for sure.
So the core idea that Douglas puts forth is that consistent success in trading, it's not about predicting the future.
Right.
It's not about having this crystal ball.
Yeah. If you come into trading thinking that that's what it's about,
you're going to have a bad time.
You're going to have a bad time because you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
It's about mastering something much more internal, right? Like our mindset and understanding what he calls the probabilistic nature of the market.
Yeah, that's a real key idea, that probabilistic nature of the market. And I think sometimes it's a little hard for people to wrap their heads around.
Right.
But really what he's saying is no matter how much analysis you do, every trade has an uncertain outcome.
Okay, so even if I've got, my charts, my indicators, my, fundamental analysis, all of that.
All of it.
There's still that element of chance.
Still that element of chance. Yeah, I mean, look, it's like flipping a coin.
Right.
Or rolling a dice.
Yeah.
You can analyze the coin or the dice all you want, but you don't know for sure what's going to come up next. I mean, people who are good at poker, they understand this, right? They're not trying to win at every single hand.
Right.
They're playing the odds, they're understanding the probabilities, and that's the same kind of mindset that you need to bring to trading.
So it's more like we're stacking the odds in our favor.
Exactly.
But we're never going to be able to say with 100% certainty,
right,
this trade is going to be a winner.
Yeah.
So how do we really internalize that?
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to say it, right?
Sure.
But when you're in the moment, you're looking at that trade.
Right.
And, fear and gnight and all the things start coming up.
Oh, absolutely.
How do we kind of make that switch in our thinking?
I think that's where the real challenge comes in. And that's what Douglas spends a lot of time talking about in the book. It's about detaching emotionally from individual wins and losses.
Yeah.
You're going to have winning trades and you're going to have losing trades.
Right.
That's just part of the game.
Yeah.
But the key is to not let those individual trades, make you feel like you're either a genius or an idiot.
Right. It's about focusing on the long game, developing a robust approach that's based on sound principles.
Right. A system, a process. Sticking to it.
And sticking to it. Exactly.
Yeah. So if it's not about predicting the future, what does he say is the key?
Well, it's about developing the right mental frameworks.
Okay.
He talks about thinking in probabilities.
Okay.
And that's really about accepting that uncertainty is inherent in the market.
Yeah.
And learning to make rational decisions without being swayed by emotions.
There they are.
There they are.
Fear and greed.
Fear and greed.
Those are the big ones, right?
Two big ones.
I mean, even outside of trading, we've all felt those, right?
Right.
Fear of missing out, greed, wanting more.
Absolutely.
But in the markets, it seems like they're just amplified.
Oh, for sure. I mean, how many times have you seen a stock is running up, you're like, oh, I got to get in on that.
Right. And then you chase it and you buy the top and then it crashes.
Yeah, FOMO's a real thing.
FOMO is real. Or the opposite, you're in a trade, it's going against you.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, it's got to come back. It's got to come back.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. And then you end up holding on to it for way too long and you take a much bigger loss than you should have.
Yeah, I think early in my trading, fear was a big one for me.
Okay.
I would see a good setup.
Right.
And then I'd be like, oh, but what if I'm wrong? What if I lose money? And then I wouldn't take the trade.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it would go up and I'd be like, I should have taken that trade. So it was like I was paralyzed by fear.
Right.
It's only after I kind of acknowledged that fear, said, okay, this is a real thing that I'm feeling.
Yep.
That I could start to, make decisions without letting it control me.
Yeah. I think that that's such an important point. It's not about trying to eliminate those emotions altogether, because that's probably not realistic.
Right.
It's about recognizing them.
Yeah.
And understanding how they're affecting your decisions, and then coming up with strategies to manage them.
It's like those feelings hijack our brains and we forget all about the plan. The plan goes out the window.
Totally. Yeah.
We were talking about risk earlier, and I know that's something that Douglas talks about a lot.
He does.
And he makes a really important distinction, I think, between like understanding risk intellectually,
right? Yeah.
and truly internalizing it. So like we can all say, yeah, I know losing is part of the game,
yes.
But then when we actually experience a loss, it's like, it
hurts.
It hurts.
Yeah, it's one thing to know it in your head.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to feel it in your gut.
Right.
And that's where a lot of traders get into trouble, because they haven't really come to terms with what risk actually means.
So how do we make that leap then?
Well, I think one way is to predefine your risk on every trade.
Okay.
Before you enter a trade, decide how much you're willing to lose.
Right.
And that way, when the trade moves against you, you've already made the decision about when to exit. You're not making that decision in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
When emotions are running high.
Because that's when we make bad decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's great advice. I like that. It's like taking the pressure off.
Yeah.
Because, going in,
you have a plan.
This is what I'm risking. And that's it.
That's it.
Another thing that Douglas talks about is discipline.
Yes.
And I got to admit, sometimes that word makes my eyes glaze over a little bit.
Sure.
It
can sound boring.
It sounds boring,
yeah.
But it's so crucial, right?
It's absolutely crucial. But maybe we can make it sound a little more exciting.
Okay, I like that.
Think about it this way. Discipline equals freedom.
Okay, I like that.
No, think about a trader who doesn't have a defined risk management strategy. They're kind of just flying by the seat of their pants.
Right.
They might chase losses, hoping for a magical turnaround.
Yeah.
Or they might jump into a trade without thinking about the potential downside. And this leads to inconsistent and often frustrating results.
It's like driving without a map.
Yes.
And ignoring all the traffic lights.
Exactly.
You might get somewhere eventually.
You might.
But it's going to be a wild, unpredictable ride.
A bit of a bumpy ride.
Yeah.
But having a well-defined trading plan and sticking to it, even when your emotions are tempting you to stray,
right,
that gives you a roadmap to navigate the market's ups and downs.
So the plan protects you from yourself, basically.
From yourself.
From our own worst impulses.
Yeah.
It's interesting how much of this comes down to psychology.
It really is.
It's not just about the numbers and the charts and the technicals.
Right.
It's about understanding yourself.
Understanding yourself.
And Douglas, he goes really deep into how our own biases and expectations can sabotage us in the market.
Yes, he does.
We think the market should behave a certain way.
Right.
And when it doesn't, we get upset.
We get frustrated. We get angry. And we start making bad decisions.
Yeah. It's like yelling at your computer screen after a bad trade.
Exactly.
Like the market doesn't care.
The market doesn't care.
It's just doing its thing.
It's doing its thing.
So the key is to align ourselves with what the market is doing.
Right.
Not what we wish it would do.
Not what we want it to do.
Exactly.
That's so hard.
It is hard. It is hard.
Because we all have these hopes and dreams.
We do. And
we project them onto the market.
Market. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about discipline.
Yes.
We've talked about accepting risk.
Right.
But what about finding an edge?
In a market where, everybody's trying to make money.
Right.
How do we stand out?
That's a great question. And that's where Douglas really puts it back on the individual trader.
Okay.
He says, what is your edge?
Okay, so like our superpower.
Your superpower. Right. What unique skills or knowledge do you have that could give you an advantage?
So it could be anything. Like it's not like there's a formula.
There's no formula.
Yeah.
No, it could be anything. It could be your ability to spot patterns in charts. It could be a deep understanding of a particular industry. It could even just be an extremely disciplined approach to risk management.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's really about figuring out what makes you different.
Yeah.
What makes you tick.
Right.
And then leveraging that to your advantage.
So there's no one right way to trade.
There's no one right way to trade.
No. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly. And what aligns with your strengths and your interests.
Okay. That's really helpful.
Good.
Because sometimes I think we get caught up in, trying to copy what other people are doing
Right.
or following the latest guru or,
Hot tip.
the hot tip.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we have to figure out what works for us.
What works for you?
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is good stuff.
Good.
I'm liking this already. We're
Yeah.
just getting started. We're
Yeah.
just getting warmed up.
Good. And once you found that edge,
Yeah.
the next step is trusting it.
Oh, yeah. That's hard.
Then that can be really tough.
Especially when you're in a losing streak. You're like
Absolutely.
second guessing everything.
Yeah. Doubt can really creep in.
Yeah. It's a sneaky beast.
It is.
So how do we cultivate that unshakable belief in our edge?
Well, I think data can be really helpful here.
Okay.
Back testing and forward testing your strategy.
So we're not just relying on intuition.
No, not just intuition.
We're actually looking at the numbers.
Looking at the numbers.
Yes.
Gathering that data, analyzing your past trades,
See if it actually holds up.
seeing if it actually holds up over time. And the more evidence you have, the more confident you'll become.
So it's like giving our intuition a little bit of a data-driven boost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Because, trading isn't about relying on gut feelings or following hunches.
Right.
It's about having a systematic approach that's grounded in evidence.
Okay.
So, do your homework,
Yeah.
test your strategy,
Make sure it actually works.
make sure it actually works. Yeah.
What about those moments when the market throws you a curveball?
Oh, yeah.
It's like nothing's working.
Right,
And
yeah.
you just start questioning everything.
Absolutely. And I think that's when you have to go back to your trading plan
Okay.
and remind yourself why you believe in your edge in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
Review your past successes.
Kind of like giving yourself a pep talk.
Yeah, a little pep talk.
Reinforce those beliefs.
Exactly,
Okay.
because, trading can be a very solitary endeavor. It is. So it's important to have those internal mechanisms to keep yourself grounded and focused.
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Douglas also talks about something called the ego trap.
Yes, he does.
What is that? And how does it relate to trading?
Well, the ego trap is that tendency to become emotionally attached to being right,
Oh,
which can lead to some really bad trading habits.
how so?
Well, when you're overly focused on being right,
Yeah.
you might hold on to losing trades for too long,
Oh, yeah.
hoping that they'll magically reverse, or you might double down on a losing position,
I've been there.
convinced that you're smarter than the market,
Yeah, yeah.
but the market doesn't care
The market does not care.
who you are or what you think.
It's like that old saying,
Yeah.
when you find yourself in a hole,
Stop digging.
stop digging.
Stop digging.
Yeah, yeah. But our egos can really get in the way, can't they?
Oh, they absolutely can.
Of making rational decisions.
For sure.
Because we get so invested.
We do. We get so invested in our trades.
Yeah. And we see it as like a reflection on us.
Yeah. It's like if the trade is going well, then we're a genius.
We're amazing.
And if the trade is going bad, then we're an idiot.
It's a failure.
And that's just not a healthy way to approach trading.
Right, right.
So how do we break free from this need to be right all the time?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing that the market doesn't care about your opinions or predictions.
Okay.
It's simply a reflection of the collective actions of all its participants.
So we're not in control.
Not in control.
No.
It's about letting go.
It's about letting go of that need to control.
Okay. Yeah, that's a hard one.
It is hard.
But that reminds me, I know we talked about a probabilistic mindset earlier.
We did.
Can you break that down a little bit more
Yeah.
for someone who maybe hasn't heard that term before?
Yeah. So a probabilistic mindset, it means acknowledging that trading is not about certainty, it's about probabilities.
Okay.
Every trade has a certain probability of success
Right.
and a certain probability of failure.
So even with a solid strategy,
Yes,
we can still have losing trades.
you absolutely can.
Okay.
And that's the challenge of thinking in probabilities is that it requires accepting the possibility of loss,
Right.
and a lot of traders struggle with this. They say they understand that losing is part of the game,
Right.
but when they actually experience a loss, it's like
It's like the emotions take over.
the emotions take over. Exactly.
And we forget all about the probabilities.
Yeah, you forget about all the rational stuff that you in your head.
The plan goes out the window.
The plan goes out the window. That's why, predefined risk management is so important.
Right.
It helps you take the emotion out of the equation.
Okay.
By having a plan in place before the trade even begins.
Yeah, that makes sense. So by focusing on that process,
Yes.
sticking to our strategy,
Right.
we're essentially detaching from that emotional roller coaster
Exactly.
of the individual trades.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered discipline, accepting risk, the ego trap, having a probabilistic mindset.
Yep.
What other gems does Douglas offer us in trading in the zone?
Well, he also talks about developing a winning attitude.
Okay.
Your attitude plays a huge role in your trading success.
So what does that look like? What are the characteristics?
Well, I think it starts with believing in yourself
Okay.
and your ability to succeed. And this doesn't mean being arrogant or overconfident.
Right.
It simply means having faith in your skills and your process.
So having that inner confidence that you can handle whatever the market throws at you.
Exactly. And being positive and optimistic. Trading can be challenging.
It can be tough.
But it's important to focus on the opportunities, not the obstacles.
Having that can-do spirit.
That can-do spirit.
Exactly. Even when things are tough.
Especially when things are tough. And finally, a winning attitude is about being persistent.
Okay.
Trading is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
It takes time, effort, and dedication to succeed.
It's a journey.
It's a journey, and there will be setbacks along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But it's important to keep learning, keep growing, and never give up on your dreams.
I love that. This has been an incredible deep dive
It has.
into the world of trading psychology.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have, and I'm sure there's even more.
Oh, absolutely. Trading in the Zone is a book that you can revisit again and again.
It's a classic.
It's a classic for a reason.
Yeah. What are some of the key takeaways that you hope listeners will remember from our discussion?
I think the most important takeaway is that trading success is more about psychology than strategy.
Okay.
You can have the best trading system in the world,
Right.
but if you don't have the right mindset,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to execute it consistently.
So mastering the inner game
Mastering in the end.
before we conquer the outer game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
And remember, this is a journey, not a destination. There's always room for growth and improvement.
Always learning.
Always learning.
This has been an amazing conversation.
It has. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners,
Yeah.
we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely.
What resonated with you the most from our deep dive into trading in the zone?
Yeah. Share your experiences, your questions.
Your own personal journey with trading psychology?
Yeah. We're all in this together.
Learning and growing along the way.
That's right.
As we're talking about all these psychological aspects of trading,
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking about how Douglas emphasizes the importance of self-awareness,
Oh, absolutely.
like really knowing yourself. Yeah, he argues that until you really understand your own strengths and weaknesses, your tendencies under pressure,
Right.
you're just going to keep making the same mistakes.
So it's like, before we even look at a chart,
Yeah,
we need to look inward.
we need to look inward. Exactly.
Okay. So for someone who's maybe new to trading or struggling to be more consistent,
Right.
what would be a good starting point for developing that self-awareness?
Well, journaling can be incredibly helpful.
All right.
After each trading day, take a few minutes to reflect.
Okay.
What went well? What could you have done better? Were there any emotional triggers that led to impulsive trades?
How interesting.
The more you understand your own patterns,
Yeah.
the better equipped you'll be to break bad habits
Right.
and develop a more disciplined approach.
So it's not just about tracking our wins and losses.
No,
It's about understanding the why behind them.
the why behind them. Exactly.
Okay. And I imagine this kind of self-reflection could be valuable even for experienced traders
Oh, absolutely.
because the market's always changing.
And constantly changing.
We have to adapt.
We have to adapt and evolve our thinking along with it.
Right. Right. There's one last idea from trading in the zone
Okay.
that I wanted to touch on, and that's this idea of creating a mindset of consistency.
Uh,
What does that involve? What does that look like?
Well, it's about developing a set of beliefs and mental frameworks that support long-term success.
Okay.
Shifting your focus from chasing individual wins to focusing on the process.
So instead of always looking for that one big win,
Right.
it's about trusting that consistent execution of our plan
Exactly.
will lead to profits over time.
Over time. Yeah. Embracing the idea that trading is a marathon, not a sprint.
Right, right.
There will be ups and downs.
Yeah.
But as long as you stay disciplined and focused on the process, you'll eventually reach your goals.
This has been so eye-opening.
Good, good.
It's amazing how much psychology plays a role in trading success.
It really is.
And I feel like we've only just scratched the surface
We've just scratched the surface.
of what trading in the zone has to offer.
It's a book you can revisit multiple times.
Yeah.
and find new layers of insight each time.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners
Sure.
as they embark on their own trading journeys?
Remember, trading is a skill you can learn and master.
Okay.
It takes time, effort, dedication,
Right.
but more importantly,
Yeah.
it takes the willingness to look inward
Mm-hmm.
and understand yourself.
Yeah.
The more you work on your mindset,
Okay.
the more consistent your results will become.
That is fantastic advice. And remember, you don't have to go it alone.
You don't.
There are so many resources available
There are.
to help you develop your trading skills
Absolutely.
and cultivate that winning mindset.
Yes.
So keep learning, keep growing, and never stop believing in your ability to succeed.
And have fun along the way.
Yes. Trading can be challenging,
It can.
but it can also be incredibly rewarding.
It can be. It can be.
Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey.
That's a wrap on another deep dive. We hope you found this exploration of trading in the zone insightful and inspiring. And as always, we'd love to hear from you. Share your biggest takeaways, your questions, and your personal experiences with trading psychology. We're all in this path together, learning and growing. Until next time, happy trading.